Well, one of the great ground cover plants for shade gardening is the Hosta family, and there are so many wonderful plants, from tiny little ones to great big ones like Empress Wu. Just to this garden, there are loads and loads, but on closer inspection, you'll see that there's netting over it because unfortunately, Hosta are adored by our four-footed deer friends. And unless you spray all the time, unless you put nets over it, they're going to look a bit like this. So now I thought I'd have an opportunity though, because this garden has some plants that the deer don't like, that will also act as wonderful ground covers. And right in the front here is one I'm looking at. And this is a goat's beard, an aruncus. And you see it spreads quite well. The deer have nibbled a little bit of the flowers, but have left the majority of them there. This one has little white spacey flowers. It kind of reminds me of an astilbe. Has a very light foliage. Very, very nice one. So that's the aruncus or the goat's beard. Wonderful plants for shade. There are big ones and there are tiny baby ones available as well. Let's have a look further on. Well, my next selection is this gorgeous ground cover here. Underneath this lovely dissected leaf Japanese maple, it looks magnificent. And it really is very happy, very dense. There are one or two little weeds there, but easy enough to pick out. And there isn't much room for weeds to develop afterwards, after this comes out. This is, say, Gallium odoratum, or the sweet woodruff. It has a pretty little white flower. And you could walk on it a little bit, light foot traffic could take, so it could be kind of a lawn substitute, as long as it didn't have too much foot traffic on it. Or the flowers have finished already. Flowers relatively early. Just a very, very nice, simple ground cover with an interesting leaf. Kind of a six-leafed leaflet. Very pretty. Well, just on the other side of the sweet woodruff, we have this Japanese painted fern. And as you can see, it spreads beautifully and blocks out all the weeds. And for those in the know, ferns are left alone by the deer. So this has got absolutely beautiful foliage. Let me just pick out a little bit like that. It's got a little white in there, some dark in there. When it hits a bit more sunlight, it's bleaching out a little bit. So it's a wonderful shade ground cover. So Japanese painted ferns, there are different sizes. There are one's called Godzilla, actually gets a bit too big. But the lower regular one, the pictum, is actually probably a more useful one to use. There's a pale green one called Ghost that gets about this high and could probably even better at blocking weeds, though this is doing an absolute brilliant job. Look at that, nothing could get through that. Absolutely fantastic. Well, my final selection is this little chap. Now this, believe it or not, is an astilbe. For a lot of people, when you think of astilbe, you think of these taller plants with these gorgeous blooms. This is a Chinese low-growing one, Pumila. Look how low to the ground it is. It's only probably 2 or 3 inches high, and it forms a nice mat. Again, the denser the mat, the less chance there are for weeds coming out. There's just 1 or 2 little weeds, but easy enough to pull out. What it does, though, it does flower like an astilbe. It's going to send up little pink-purple plumes about this high later on in the summer. Usually later than the regular astilbes. And as you can see, it makes a wonderful shade ground cover. So if you've got a major deer problem or you don't want to spray or put netting down, some of these things I've just shown you will be ideal alternatives. Thanks for watching.